Hi everyone and welcome to the blues workout. In this exercise we're going to look at four different blues techniques that can be applied to any song that's in the blues style. We're going to do two right hand techniques and two left hand techniques. The first thing to understand with the blues is that it frequently follows a 12 bar progression, meaning a series of chords that are in a cycle of 12 measures and gets repeated over and over. That's the harmonic foundation of the blues. From there, we add our chords, and then we add all of our different tricks and techniques as we're playing the blues to give it that distinctive sound. So let's start with our left-hand techniques first. If you look on the handout, the first one is what's called a Chicago bass, and this is probably the one you're most familiar with. It's also known as a walking bass, and it follows on the piano, outlining the chords while moving up and down in an arpeggio fashion. So let's take a look at the sheet music. You'll notice it's 12 measures long before the repeat sign, and you'll notice it follows a pattern of 4 C chords, 2 F chords, 2 C chords, 2 G chords, 2 C chords, and if you add that all up, that equals 12. That series is going to repeat over and over throughout these exercises. So let's take a look at the left hand first. For our Chicago bass line, starting on the C chord, we're going to outline it like this. And again. Alright, now I get to my F chord, and I'm going to slide my hand up and do the same pattern, but starting on F. I've reached the end, and I go back to my C pattern. I've now reached the G pattern. Slide up. And I've reached my last C pattern. And from here I can either repeat it or end on a C chord. Either way, it's the same note next. So that's the general idea. Let's play it once through without stopping. Chicago bass on C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to F. Back to C. G. C. Now to fill out the sound, we want to add in some chords with our right hand, just so we have something to complement it. So with the right hand, all we're going to do is just play the 3-note chords as indicated on the sheet and just hold them out. So we have our C chord, C, E, G. When we have our F chord, you can just use an inversion. Keep your thumb on C, slide your top fingers up to F, A. Then you go back to C. For G7, keep your pinky on G. Put your 4th finger on F and slide your thumb down to B, and that'll work as our G7 chord. And then you're back to C. So you have C, F, C, G7, and C. And that's known as a cadence pattern right there. Let's try it hands together, which you will ultimately do for your performance grade. 1, 2, 3, 4, C. C, F, back to C, G, C. One more time. C. Let's do the chords up higher so we don't crash into each other. C, F, C, G, C. Alright, so that walking bass line is probably the most common blues technique. The next one is also a left-hand technique known as the Texas Shuffle. It's very similar to boogie woogie piano. And we're going to change our key to G major, key of 1 sharp. And for this one, you'll notice the pattern is different. If you look at your music before we begin, you'll see we're still using 12-bar blues, 4 measures of G, 2 measures of C, 2 G, 2 D, 2 G. Now for the shuffle boogie woogie pattern, we're going to use what's called shells. Let's take our left hand on the keyboard and put our pinky on G and our thumb up on D. And for the purpose of this exercise, let's actually switch to our second finger on D. So you're using 2 and 5. And with the boogie woogie pattern, what we like to do is your pinky's going to play every time, and we're going to alternate every 2 notes to the note above, like this. We'll just keep going back and forth. I've reached my C chord. I'm going to shift my shells up to where my pinky's on C, and it's the same idea. Back to G. I've reached the D chord. Back to G. Let's try the whole Texas Shuffle without stopping. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, G. C. G. D. G. And we can either repeat or end on G. With our right hand, we're going to do similar application. That's just play the chords in root position with our right hand. So our G chord is GBD. Then we come to our C chord, and we'll do the same thing. Keep your thumb on G, slide your top 2 fingers up to C and E, use an inversion. Back to G. For D7, we're going to slide our thumb to F sharp and put our 4th finger on C, pinky stays on D, and then back to G. So you have G, C, G, D7, G. Taking our shuffle pattern, let's put it all together. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. G, 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 C, G, G, D, and we'll end on a G chord. So those 2 left-hand techniques, the walking bass Chicago and the Texas Shuffle Boogie Woogie, those are the 2 most common left-hand techniques for playing in the blues. Let's switch over to right-hand techniques on the other side of your sheet. We're going to change to the key of F major, key of 1 flat, and we're going to work on what's known as turns. And they're very similar to taking a turn on the piano, literally. You're going to start on one note and kind of go in like a repeated wheel fashion. You'll see as we play through it. So let's take a look at our music. You'll notice we're still 12-bar blues. 4F, 2B flat, 2F, 2C, 2F. And you'll notice that we have some triplet patterns. Those are the turns. They're similar to arpeggios. And it's going to be a repeated pattern over and over. And what's cool about the turn is that it gives interest and some emphasis to the note that we're landing on. So for instance, if you look at the first two measures, we have G sharp, A, C, the triplet, and that pattern's played 4 times in a row. And we end up, our last note, the F below. So we're kind of building the momentum as we get to the last note. Okay. Now go down to the next line where we go to the B flat chord. Now we have C sharp, D, F, building suspense to land on B flat. Let's do that again. And then we come back to the F turn. The last one is built on C, D sharp, E, G. Again. And then we're back to the F one last time. So the turn just adds, interest. It's like, oh, he's repeating these notes over and over. They're very close together, and then suddenly we land on the root of the chord. So let's play through these turns straight through just the right hand, then I'll show you what to do with the left hand. Starting with the F turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat. Go to B flat. Back to F, N. Up to C. Back to F again. And there it is. With our left hand, we're just going to play the bass note of the chord, meaning single notes on quarter notes to keep the beat going. Now, if you scan your music real fast, you'll notice we're playing for the F chord, F, 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 F over and over. But when you get to the last measure, before we go into B flat, you'll notice the notes change. We walk up to B flat. And then we stay on B flat for a while. And then we walk back down to F. We stay on F. And then we walk up to C. And then we walk back down to F. And this gives good practice for changing the chords, as well as it gives it a little bit more interest and setting up the next chord. So very quickly, let's just play through the left hand by itself, since this is a little different. Starting on F, pinky. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bump. Measure 2. Measure 3. Now we're going to walk up to B flat. Come down. Going up to C and down. And from here we could repeat or end on an F. Let's try putting it all together. Right hand turns, left hand quarter notes. A little slower. 1, 2, triplet, triplet. Again. Walk, B flat. Walk down to F. Walk up. Walk down. And we can repeat it or end on an F. Let's try just a little bit faster, which is more ideal speed, but do what's best for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the whole idea. The last right hand technique we're going to look at is known as the tremolo, and that's at the bottom of the page. We're going to change to the key of 2 sharps, D major. And what's cool about the tremolo is, if you take a look at your music, in all of the odd measures, measures 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, you'll notice you have 2 whole notes spread apart, and there's those 3 thick lines in between the notes. That's the sign for the tremolo. And what's cool about the tremolo is it tells you to play those 2 notes back and forth rapidly as fast as you can go. So it's similar to the trill if you were playing on the flute or the piano, the trumpet, the violin, whatever your instrument is. It's the same idea. It's just usually with trills, or really, it's the same idea. On piano, since we can play more notes at one time, whereas on the flute or the violin, you can only play 1 note at a time. Piano, we have the advantage of playing more notes. Anyway. Basic idea is when you see the tremolo sign, play the 2 notes or whatever many notes as fast as you can back and forth. So for this exercise, we're going to do a couple different tremolo patterns. The first one, in the first measure, we have the notes A and C natural. So you'll go back and forth for 4 beats and then land on it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, hold. Repeat it. Hold. When you get to the G measure, we're going to slide down to G and B. 3, 4, hold. Go back to the D measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold. When you get to the A measure, we switch to C sharp. 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, back to C natural for D. 3, 4, hold. And that's the whole idea of the tremolo. With the right hand, we're going to do a similar thing that we did in the previous exercise, and that is we're going to walk up and down using quarter notes based on the chords. So, let's just play through the left hand once. I think it's easy enough you can follow along, and you'll see how it lines up. Starting on D. 1, 2, 3, 4. D. Again. 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 Walk up to G. Walk down, walk up, walk down, and we stay on D. And from here you can repeat or end on D. Alright. Now I would prefer you play the left hand lower on the piano to get some bass sound. Alright, let's play through the whole exercise slowly so you get a feel for what I'm looking for. Tremolos and all. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. Walk. 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 That's the whole thing. Let's try a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. I forgot to mention, pick the combination of fingers for the tremolo that works best for you. Sometimes I like to use 1 and 2. Sometimes I use 1 and 3. Occasionally 2 and 4. Whatever feels most comfortable for you, and that you can get the notes out as quickly as possible. So just for fun, so you've seen 2 different left-hand techniques, you've seen 2 different right-hand techniques. I'm going to play a 12-bar blues progression for you, and I wanted you to see how you can put all these different things together as you improvise on the blues. Alright, so I'm going to do a blues in F. and I think you'll see some different ways of applying these techniques. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can just take all those different things we did. Hopefully you saw some tremolos, you saw some turns, you saw I did 2 different bass lines, and I added in some other things as we went along. As you do the blues assignments throughout this month, try to add in some of those left and right hand techniques as we go. You want to get beyond just playing the melody and just playing the chords. You want to add some more music to it. Please let me know if you have any questions. The assignment for this workout is to play each of the techniques once through, using the correct hands, the correct patterns, and we'll go from there. Good luck.